Tech for Seniors, episode 60, May the 17th, 2021. We have about 95 people in the show today, and we have a whole bunch more people over on the streaming service. Thanks so much for everybody coming today. We do appreciate it. As I said before, our show keeps going on your enthusiasm. So thank you so much for coming. We have a big show for you today. We have, of course, Chris Guld from Geeks on Tour, and Jim is here as well. And we're going to have a great show for you today. So thank you for coming. As you know, we have two services running right now. We have our Zoom meeting, which 95 of you are in, and thank you to everyone for coming. We also have our YouTube live streaming over on YouTube now, and the shows are a little bit different. We have, of course, on the streaming side, the show will go for about 50 minutes. Just before the music interlude with Ray's segment, then we will end the broadcast and also for the Q&A. But for those of you who are in the Zoom meeting, of course, this goes on for an hour, and at the top of the hour, we will have our Q&A, which usually goes on for about 20 minutes. Now, for those of you who missed the show, you're obviously not here, but we record these. And so it is recorded, and you can play these back. So we should have that. We should have that done by the end of the day. So also last week, I was unbelievably blown away. I could not believe what happened. We came up with a funding request and buy me a cup of coffee. And and so we thought, well, we'll try it and see, because we have to raise about $800 to cover the costs of operating the show. And unbelievable. I could not believe it. We have raised, we've raised 60% of our goal in 2 days. Like, thank you so much. I could not believe it. We have $460 out of our $800. But yes, I want to thank so much. I mean, that was unbelievable. We really had an amazing response to it. Hugh and I talked about what we were going to do, and I think it's only appropriate to thank people. I'm just going to take a brief minute, and I'm going to take 10 of we had about 35 people who have, of course, donated. And Hugh and I have taken 10 names from each, and he's going to do 10, and I'm going to do 10. I just want to quickly run through the names. Sorry if I don't spell them correctly. If you gave a donation and you didn't put your whole name in, or you gave it anonymously, we don't know who you are. So I just want to thank I'm going to thank 10 people. Huey's going to thank 10 people. And then we will have, next week, we'll do another 10 and another 10 until we get all the thank yous done. So I'd like to thank Tony Pisa, Irving, Detlef, Pat Auken, Mike Seacrest, Jeff, Dick Vogel, Charles Harchin, Jonathan, and OKC, and Eric Noyes. Thank you so much for your donations. And Hugh's going to do his 10 in a few minutes. Now, for those of you who are interested in searching and finding out some of the things that we've done in the past, we now have the searchable links. We're going to talk more about this next week on our website and also in our newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, please do so, because it will have all the up-to-date information for you. Introducing our staff today, Huey,
I'm here.
Are you?
I'm here.
Yeah, how's your week? You got a busy week coming up.
Yeah, Thursday especially. I think I got four Zoom meetings.
What are we doing on Thursday? What's going on Thursday?
Well, we got the Tech for Seniors live, and then we have learning Chromebooks, and then I have one presentation and one that I help with Q&A on. So I got 4 on Thursday.
Wow. So Michael Daniels is going to be, hey, everyone cheer. Yay, Michael Daniels is going to
Yay.
be on our show on Thursday. For those of you who don't know Michael, he's a great guy, and he's just he's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to this, to get Michael for an hour, and we're just going to talk tech. And then
just to interrupt you first, though, Michael is Ron and I, he's our go-to person when we don't know the answer to something. So
don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. We don't know the answer. Don't say that.
Oh, okay. When we're not sure which one of the answers to use, he guides us to the right one.
and then I've got even better news not even better news, but for next week. Do you guys know who I've lined up for the following week?
Oh, tell us. Do tell.
Are you drum roll? Heather Crafter's going to come on.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Heather is the co-host with Michael Daniels, and she is a great person. And Heather said, I'd love to do it. So I said, that's great. So we're going to have Heather on the following week. So it should be lots of fun.
She does a crafting show, correct?
Yeah. She's going to talk all about her crafting show, and we'll talk our tech stuff. And yeah, it should be great. So if you guys haven't seen our Thursday show, or you haven't watched it, we just have a lot of fun. It's just off the cuff, right? So it's a lot of fun. Huey, did you want to mention those thank yous before we
my list of thank yous? And if apparently some people have, since we put this list together, some new people have added to the coffee. So their names will not be on here, but we want to thank you as well, and we'll do that probably next week. But Bob G, Geeks on Tour, Joel Sandberg, Donna, who didn't give her last name, but that's okay, Jim Tallman, Herman Lippold, Susan Cashmore, John Roy, Jenny Garrick, and Ron Metler. Thank you so much for buying us cups of coffee.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And remember, this is not the complete list. So if you haven't heard your name, it's coming. It's coming for sure. Bob, how the heck are you?
Fine. How are you?
Doing great. I'm doing great. How'd your week go?
Busy as always.
I know. And Ray, what's happening down there in Arizona?
Well, I was interested in listening to Huey there. He may have surpassed my record. I had 4 Zoom meetings in a 24-hour period once, and I thought that was the record, but I think Huey just passed it. In Arizona, things are going good. I have this monthly music club meeting with friends, and we've been doing it via Zoom for the last year plus. Well, last night we met in person, and it was so much nicer to actually be there with people and spend a couple of hours listening to music and watching some YouTube videos. There's about 7 of us, and we meet every month on like clockwork.
Great. Yes, personal contact is absolutely wonderful.
And can I announce that
Sure.
Ray has agreed to be on our Geeks on Tour Sunday? What does this button do show this coming Sunday? And we really appreciate that. Love to hear more about music.
Good. I look forward to doing that, and I'll probably be in contact just to make sure we're in line together.
Ray is a wonderful speaker and a great person. Thank you. And Dewey, now are you feeling better? We're going to hear all about Dewey in your segment today, but excuse me, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really great, unbelievable, considering that I was in the ER 2 weeks ago today having a stroke. But anyway, I'll tell you all about it in my presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Dewey. We certainly wish you well, and I'm glad you're doing okay. Bob, are you ready to go?
As soon as you're ready to let me start.
Go ahead.
Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending May 14th, 2021. Colonial Pipeline reopens after ransomware attack. The largest petroleum transport company in the U.S., Colonial Pipeline, has resumed business as usual this week after halting all pipeline operations last Friday when the company was hit by a ransomware attack. Attackers attempted a double extortion scheme by locking the company out of its files and then threatening to publish 100 gigabytes of sensitive Colonial Pipeline data if the company did not pay. According to CNET, CNN, and Reuters, Colonial Pipeline had no intentions of paying the ransom, instead bringing on a security agency to restore their system from their backup servers. There is one main reason for the increase of ransomware, commented Avast security evangelist Louis Carones. Victims are paying, but Colonial Pipeline is setting an example that everyone should follow, as these attacks are only profitable if the victims are willing to pay. The fact that the company is back on its feet in just a few days also shows that they had proper backup policies which had enabled them to get back to business rapidly. Bloomberg is reporting that Colonial Pipeline had to pay a nearly $5 million ransom to get there, and it paid that ransom within mere hours. The Wall Street Journal sources have now also confirmed that Colonial Pipeline paid the ransom. It would be nice if all news sources actually reported facts. Ransomware crooks post cops' psych evaluation after talks with DC police stall. A ransomware gang that hacked the District of Columbia's Metropolitan Police Department in April posted personal records on Tuesday that revealed highly sensitive details for almost 24 officers, including the results of psychological assessments and polygraph tests, driver's license images, fingerprints, social security numbers, dates of birth, and residential, financial, and marriage histories. Ransomware crooks threaten to ID informants if cops don't pay up. The data included a 161 megabyte download from a website on the dark web, was made available after negotiations broke down between members Babook ransomware group and MPD officials. A post on the hacker's website said the negotiations reached a dead end. The amount we were offered does not suit us. We are posting 20 more personal files on officers. The 161 megabyte file was password protected. The operators later published the passphrase after MPD officials refused to raise the price the department was willing to pay. The ransomware attack on the MPD has no known connection to the one that has hit Colonial Pipeline. Read more on Ars Technica. Clubhouse app launches on Android. More than a year after its initial launch, which was limited to Apple devices, the audio-only social media app Clubhouse is now available to Android users as well. The company welcomed Android users on their blog, informing them that Clubhouse for Android will roll out in beta immediately in the US, followed by other English-speaking countries, then the rest of the world. BBC News speculated on the potential obsolescence of the app, seeing as Facebook is mimicking its features with Hotline and Twitter is doing the same with Spaces. Learn more about Clubhouse with our deep dive into the trendy app and understand the risks involved with the data scraping that occurs across almost all social media platforms, Clubhouse included. Domestic abuse cases increasingly involve tech. According to The Guardian, the amount of domestic abuse cases in the UK involving tech has skyrocketed, jumping 97% since the pandemic started. Abusers have found they can monitor and control their partners using a range of tech tools. Many abusers employ stalkerware, and not coincidentally, Avast detected a 93% increase in the use of stalkerware through 2020. Victims support charity Refuge launched a new website in response to the growing number of cases, offering resources to victims, including a simple animated video explaining what tech abuse is. Refuge also provides the tech support victims needed to extract themselves from such situations. Unfortunately, the amount of domestic abuse is just as rampant here in the US. Amazon destroyed 2 million counterfeit products in 2020. In its first ever brand protection report, Amazon expounded on the tools it provides its sellers to verify and protect their brands, as well as how it takes counterfeiters to task. In 2020, Amazon reports it seized and destroyed more than 2 million counterfeit products sent to its fulfillment centers. In addition, its verification process stopped over 6 million attempts to create a selling account before listing a sale, a sharp rise from 2019's 2.5 million attempts. Despite the pandemic's apparent increase in fraudulent activity, Amazon reports that fewer than 0.01% of all products sold on their site received a counterfeit complaint from customers. What are frag attacks? A new series of attacks against almost every Wi-Fi router has been posted called frag attacks. Anyone who can receive radio signals from your router or Wi-Fi hotspot can use these vulnerabilities and steal data from your devices. The issue is the design of the Wi-Fi protocols themselves, along with programming errors to certain Wi-Fi devices. Some products have multiple issues, and a dozen different CVEs have been posted that document them. The vulnerabilities were discovered by Martin van Hoof, who will be back teaching in the fall at KU Leuven University in Belgium, and has worked with a team at New York University and Abu Dhabi. The group tested more than 75 different devices and discovered flaws in Wi-Fi protocols going back to the turn of the millennium. He will present papers at various information security conferences this summer. His presentation on Usenix is already available. The good news is that the protocol design flaws aren't easy to take advantage of, and there hasn't been any evidence that any attackers has actually exploited these flaws, at least not yet. The bad news is that the programming errors are almost trivial to exploit. Lifehacker says that the vulnerabilities are thankfully obscure enough and require just enough of a physical presence that you should be fine if you're staying on top of your security and updates, which you should be doing anyway. Here's what your Ring doorbell knows about you. Ring is, first and foremost, a surveillance tool. It's marketed as helping you surveil your surroundings. But don't forget that it's keeping track of you and your family as well. Ring and Amazon, its parent company, knows your name, email, postal address, and phone number. It also knows the geolocation of your phone, information about your Wi-Fi network and signal strengths, and your product model, serial number, and software version. If you use Facebook or other third-party login, it also can obtain information from that third party. And of course, if you go to their website, it also tracks with cookies, web server logs, web beacons, and other technologies, according to their privacy policy, and information gathered on their site or social media may be used for advertising. Finally, Ring videos and photos are stored on Amazon's servers for up to 60 days. Ring uses your data to provide the services you've paid for. In other words, a video doorbell, and while they don't sell your data, they do say in their privacy policy that they might share it with service providers who perform services for them, including marketing. In other words, your data is likely shared with data aggregators in order to serve you ads. Additionally, we all know that Amazon loves to get their hands on as much information about customers as possible, which means Ring data goes into the big aggregate pool Amazon has on you. Amazon will share information captured by your Ring with law enforcement when they're compelled to do so. They also have created partnerships with law enforcement agencies across the US, allowing Ring customers to sign up to share their surveillance footage with the police. And they often offer rebates to incentivize people to sign up for this registry. Ring overtly collects a lot of information, but there are things they could figure out based on the content of your videos and photos. Things like when you're home, how many packages you get, information about your neighborhood and neighbors, and so on. There are also reports that Amazon is testing out facial recognition technology on their Ring cameras, which opens a whole other can of scary privacy concerns, especially when you take Amazon's police partnership into account. Remember that using or not using the Ring doorbell is entirely up to you. And that wraps up this week's Avast Security News. Stay safe, stay secure. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Bob. That was interesting about Amazon and how many products they're destroying, eh? Interesting. I don't I don't think I've ever got a counterfeit thing on buying Amazon. I mean, the truck stops daily at my house. It really does, but I don't think I ever got anything counterfeit, but you know, who knows, right? All right, our next segment is going to be of course, Chris Guld from Geeks on Tour. Now, the talk today, we really wanted to talk about the changes that are occurring, excuse me, on June 1st for Google Photos. Chris, did you have anything you want to say before we start your pre-recorded segment?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, hello, everybody. In case you don't know me, I'm Chris Guld, and it's with Geeks on Tour, along with my husband, Jim, and we are in our little RV right now, coming to you connected to our hotspot. The video that Ron is going to play for you in a minute is all about, and it's important stuff about what happens on June 1 and what to do on your computer. But I realize that some people haven't checked that their phone is doing what it's supposed to. So I have just a couple of little messages that I'm putting into the chat. So if you use Google Photos and you have your phone with you, I want you to open the app on your phone and check to see that everything has been uploaded. I also want you to check to see that everything that your setting for your phone uploads is set to high quality. And I have put little instructions on that in the chat. And so with that, go ahead with the video. And if you want, you can probably stop the video at 17 minutes, you know, when I go into alternatives to Google Photos, if you need the time.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine. And then, of course, you're going to be around in the Q&A session for questions.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I didn't say I am a Google Photos expert. For those of you who don't, and I wrote a book on Google Photos, so that's why I'm here.
And where may they find the book? How would they purchase your book?
Amazon.
Okay, let's share the screen.
Hi. I'll bet you've been hearing the news about how Google Photos will be free no more. I'm here to tell you that it's not that big of a deal, and we are going to give you the facts. Exactly what is changing on June 1? What, if anything, do you need to do? And what else is changing? I'm Chris.
And I'm Jim.
And we are Geeks on Tour.
And we can prove that we're geeks because we wear these funny hats. And another word for a geek is a propeller head.
Okay, but we are geeks who teach, and Google Photos is a real specialty of ours. I am a product expert designated by Google, and I wrote a book on Google Photos called Learn Google Photos, and it's available at Amazon. But let's get right into this issue of what's changing on June 1. The bad news is that free unlimited storage for high quality photos and videos is coming to an end. That is a drag. It's been really nice to have unlimited free storage, but there's good news. All the content uploaded in high quality before June 1 is stored for free, and it will be continued to store for free after June 1. So the only thing that changes is what you upload after June 1. Here's all the details. Every Google account is given 15 gigabytes of free storage. That's shared between Google Photos, Gmail, and Google Drive. In Google Photos, you have the option of uploading in high quality or original quality. High quality is compressed and takes up less space. We think it's a great way to go. Right now, before June 1, 2021, if you upload in high quality, it just doesn't count. It's zero storage against your 15 gigabytes allotment. After June 1, that's what changes. Newly uploaded high quality content will count against your allotment. But not everybody.
Yeah, I have the Pixel phone. It's a Pixel 4 XL, and I get high quality, and that won't change after June 1st, right?
Right, yours still will not count. You are exempt.
Okay.
Because as long as you are using your Pixel phone, high quality will remain at no charge. So get the details for your account. If you go to photos.google.com and click on the gear for settings, you should see this update that has a link to learn more. And if you click there, you will see information specific to your account, that your existing photos and videos won't be affected, and based on your usage, you'll see an estimate there of how long your 15 gigabytes will even last. This particular user, it's estimated that the 15 gigabytes will last for 4 years based on their current usage patterns. So what do you need to do? First of all, don't panic. Listen to our friend here, Helpful Harry.
Relax, calm down now. Don't stress.
Take it easy, don't panic. You don't need to do anything. Everything that is in place on May 31st will be the same on June 1. It's only newly uploaded photos that change. All content you have stored for free on June 1 will be stored for free on June 2 and beyond. You still have the 15 gigabytes of free storage too. If you want to take advantage of more free storage before June 1, I have 2 things for you to do. Number 1, upload all those pictures that you've been putting off. Upload everything you can think of in high quality, and they will be stored for free forever. Number 2, recover storage, and I will explain what that means. You should be at 0. Google Photos should be at 0 storage used on June 1. So uploading everything, what do I mean? I mean uploading all the photos and videos on your computer. If you haven't done it yet and you have thousands of photos on your computer, this is the time. How about old USB drives or CDs? Maybe even digitize old slides and prints and VCR tapes. But primarily I'm talking about all those digital photos that are on your computer. And there's 2 main types of ways to do that, manual and automatic. On the manual, I think the manual is best because you have more control. You can either start at Google Photos and use the upload button. I call that the pull method. You start at the destination and you go get the photos. Or you can start at your computer files and use drag and drop, push them. And I want to do a little demo of this. So we're going to go to my computer. I have a hard drive here, and I have lots of photos on this. I've already uploaded them, but I'm just going to show you one example of a folder on the hard drive that I am going to import to my Google Photos. So I go to, this is the pull method. I go to photos.google.com And I click on this little upload button. And I'm going to upload from my computer. I navigate to that hard drive. And I have this photo called Photos from Friends. And it's this one here, Martin Ham Radio. There's about a dozen photos in here. I could just select one or two, but Control A will select them all, or that would be a Command A on a Mac. And then I click open. And they start uploading to my Google Photos. 12 pictures. The beauty of doing the manual method is when it's done, I get the option to add to an album. And I'm just going to call this new album a demo album. A demo uploads and check mark. The second way is to push. So here I have a thumb drive. Let's say somebody gave me this thumb drive and says, here are the pictures you wanted. How do I get them into my Google Photos? Well, first I will connect the thumb drive to the computer. And something pops up that offers to copy pictures from that thumb drive to my computer. I don't want that. I don't want these on my computer. I want to get them straight from the thumb drive up to Google Photos. I'm going to do that using the files and folders and my push method, drag and drop. So I open Windows Files and Folders. That would be the Finder on Macintosh. And I find that thumb drive, the USB drive right there. And here is the folder of pictures that I want to upload to Google Photos, just this one called Panoramio. I need to get my Google Photos appearing on the same screen here. So do you see what I did there? My files is in this window, but behind here is my Google Photos. So I can just drag and drop the whole folder. Notice I dragged and dropped it right into the album called Demo Upload. So now those 3 photos from Panoramio are part of the album that I just made with the previous upload. That is what I mean by having control. Okay, so that's the manual method of uploading pictures, either with the pull method or the push. But what if you have thousands of pictures in maybe hundreds of folders? That would just be too much work. So for that, you do need a piece of software called Backup and Sync. And so you need Google Backup and Sync. That's what it looks like. It's that little blue icon with the cloud in the up arrow. You get it at photos.google.com/apps. And I'm going to show you how. So here I am at my Google Photos, and it's still under this upload. And instead of from computer or from Google Drive, I'm going to get the Backup and Sync software. And notice where it takes me, photos.google.com/apps, and download. Save. You know the drill for downloading and installing software. Once it's done, I open it. Say yes. And here we are. Get started. You have to log into your account that you want to use here. This is where your photos will be uploaded to. They'll be uploaded to this account. Once you've logged in, then you have to follow the steps for setting it up. Do you want to back up photos and videos or all file types? The odd thing to understand is that this software is actually a Google Drive utility. So it's going to back up to Google Drive regardless. If you want photos backed up to Google Photos, you make sure to select that option. And next. Now here's the important part. Where are the photos that you want backed up? Mine are not on the desktop. They are not in documents. They are in pictures on my computer. They're also on my external hard drive. So I use this choose folder to specify that. Make sure to select high quality. That is what will get you free storage before June 1 and reduced storage after June 1. And when you click start, they'll start going. This might take several days depending on how many photos you have, and you'll need to check on it once in a while, make sure that your computer stays on and it is working. Once it's going, you will see this little cloud icon with the swirling arrows in the lower right-hand corner. That is your Google Backup and Sync software. So that was the Backup and Sync software that will get all of your photos from your computer automatically, but you will not have any albums. It just grabs all the photos out of your folders, puts them into Google Photos in one giant stream by date. All of this comes from my book, Learn Google Photos. Chapter 3 is all about collecting the rest of your life's photos and videos. The second thing that you should do before June 1, if you want to take advantage of the free storage, is what's called Recover Storage. Hi, this is Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour and Learn Google Photos, and this video is about how to recover storage from your Google Cloud storage allotment. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you go to one.google.com, that is where you will see the storage that you are using with Google. You click right here where it says storage, and you get 15 gigabytes of free storage, but it is shared by Google Drive, Gmail, and Google Photos. Now, this says that Google Photos is using 0.32 gigabytes, but if you use high quality before June 1, 2021, this should be at 0. So how do we recover that third of a gigabyte? Well, if you go to Google Photos and click on the gear wheel, the settings icon, you should see recover storage. Notice it says high quality here, but since there is some storage being used at some point in time, some photos must have gotten uploaded in original size, but you can retroactively compress those by clicking recover storage. So recover 331 megabytes by compressing. Yes, compress. May take over an hour. All right, I just click compress and then we wait. So I don't know how long that took because I just left it overnight, but here I am back at one.google.com, logged in as the same account, and if I click on storage, it now says that Google Photos is taking 0 gigabytes. This is what you want before June 21, 2021. What if you don't have a button that says recover storage? I'm in Jim's account now. I click on the little gear, and where it said recover storage, it now says manage subscription. Let me explain. Here in Google One for his account, it says you've got 104 gigabytes of storage. That means that he's paying for the extra storage, but he still wants Google Photos to be taking up 0 space, and right now it's at 6.46 gigabytes. So how do we recover that? Back to Google Photos, and in the gear, all he has to do is click on high quality, and it will prompt him to recover 6.5 gigabytes of Google account storage. If yours was already on high quality, then just click original and click high quality, and you will get that prompt as well. if you want to take advantage of the free storage, upload everything now and make sure to run that recover storage procedure before June 1. Now, how much does it cost? The pricing for Google Photos is just not bad at all, I don't think. $2 a month or $20 a year for 100 gigabytes, and then $3 or $30 a year for 200. 2 terabytes, which I would consider to be unlimited, is just $100 a year, $10 a month. Nothing else can beat that and have all the features that Google Photos has. If you don't believe me and you still want to have alternatives, here are the ones that are at all close: Flickr, Amazon Prime, and Microsoft OneDrive. But as I say, Google Photos is the only one that was built from the ground up to be your one home for your lifetime of photos. Microsoft is built to be a file storage, an online file storage. Amazon Prime is probably the closest thing to Google Photos, but it still doesn't have near the features, and you have to be a Prime member, and you still don't get video storage for anything less than 5 gigabytes. Still want to quit? You still don't believe me and you want to quit? And some people are. I don't think it's right, but if you are going to quit, make sure that you have all your photos and videos from your Google Photos account somewhere else. And Google's option for doing that is called takeout.com. You can either download everything to your computer, or you can transfer to Flickr, OneDrive, or SmugMug. Those are kind of in beta though right now, but it's worth a shot. What else is going to be changing? I actually think Google Photos is going to continue to improve now that they are on this freemium model, meaning you have the free tier, completely free for up to 15 gigabytes, but if you choose to pay for more storage, you become a Google One member. And Google One members get lots of perks. They get phone support. You actually get support with Google just by the $2 a month to make you a Google One member. And I am starting to see new features, new editing features, for example, on my Android phone that are only for Google One members. So it's going to keep getting better. Google Photos is still the best, and it's going to keep getting better.
And we agree. Okay. That's it for us. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
We're Geeks on Tour.
Well, thanks, Chris. That was great. I have a whole bunch of questions for you, but we'll wait until the question and answer part. But well done. Excellent. I'm going to now go ahead and I'm going to reshare my screen, and we're going to play Dewey's segment. Dewey has prepared something for us today. Thank you, Dewey. Let me share my screen again.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is different stroke symptoms for different folks. Monday, May 3rd's TFS episode number 58 was the first one I'd ever missed since they began in 2020, April of 2020. When I climbed out of bed that morning, I discovered that my basic balance and equilibrium had taken a nasty hit during the night. Later, when Joanne got up, she quickly noticed that my speech was slightly slurred and my walking was very labored and difficult. I was limping because of a lame left foot. An hour later, I arrived at the ER. This was the first of 3 visits to the ER and a total of 5 days of hospitalization that week at our fine North Memorial Regional Stroke Center. The initial diagnosis suggested that I had had a TIA. Now, TIA is the acronym for transient ischemic attack. Transient implies that it's brief. Ischemic means that it's caused by the narrowing or blockage of a blood vessel supplying the brain. However, my symptoms, significant weakness on my left side and slurred speech, lingered on and were anything but transient. Symptoms for a TIA are the same as for a stroke. That's important to remember. And they may include weakness, numbness, or paralysis on one side of your body, slurred speech, blindness in one or both eyes, and dizziness. Physical tests include being able to smile, stick your tongue directly out, tightly squeeze the tester's fingers with your weak hand, and from a sitting position, being able to extend each foot straight out and hold it steady for 10 seconds. I easily passed all tests. Though my left side and speech symptoms continued, neurologists were puzzled after a myriad of brain scans, CAT scans, MRIs, and an echocardiogram, there was no evidence that a stroke had occurred very recently. Finally, on the fourth day, that was, I guess, my third visit to the ER, a very deep brain scan showed sufficient evidence that I indeed had had an ischemic stroke. In my opinion, it was a relatively mild stroke, thankfully. Yet my symptoms were still coming and going, or waxing and waning, quoting the neurologist. According to stroke.org, an ischemic stroke is the most common type of stroke and occurs about 85% of the time. A hemorrhagic stroke, which is often called a brain bleed, is more dangerous, but 8 times less frequent. TIAs, as described earlier, do not cause permanent damage, but should be considered very strongly as a warning sign. About 1 in 3 people who have a TIA will eventually have a stroke. I guess that includes me, with about half of these strokes occurring within a year after the TIA. I'm sure that most of you have already educated yourself, and I certainly hope so, on the warning signs of a stroke by remembering FAST. F is for face drooping. Does one side of your face droop, or is it numb? Can you smile? Can you stick out your tongue? Now, A is for arm weakness. Is one arm weak or numb? Try to raise both arms with eyes closed. Does one drift lower? By the way, I never had a numb arm, and I had troubles with my left arm because I had previously blown my rotator cuff, so that was another issue. S is for speech difficulty. Is your speech slurred and hard to understand? Can you repeat a simple phrase? Also, can you stick out your tongue or stick your tongue straight out? If your tongue uncontrollably goes to one side, a stroke is quite probably in process and in progress. I can stick out my tongue. T is for time to call 911. If there are definite symptoms, call 911 immediately. Trained professionals can provide medical help sooner than you being taken to the ER. I confess to having made that mistake. I was kind of stubborn. It's often said that no 2 strokes are alike. It's also said that early strong efforts and therapy to regain mobility and function are usually well recorded, and I have found that true. Finally, I'm pleased to report that when I woke up today, Sunday, May 16, my left arm and leg are way, way much better than yesterday. Could barely move them yesterday. You may, however, judge if I'm still having speech problems. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and I'm going to stick with it. I want you all to have a great day and stay safe in every way. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And remember FAST, right, Dewey?
Right. Absolutely right.
Thank you so much. Now, Hewie, are you ready to roll?
I am. And what I'm going to be talking about today is some toys that I have that you may not have. Let's take a look. Today, I'm going to be talking about some new IoT items in my house. I'm Huey Poplock. The items I'm going to be talking about are a smart power strip and a smart microwave oven. This is the smart power strip that I purchased last summer. It cost about $27. It's no longer available, but there are other ones very similar to it that are. During my talk and demonstration, I will be using the term Miss A instead of the actual device name, so I don't set off your device if you happen to have one. This is my IOT power strip. There's several ways I can turn it on and off. I can do it the entire strip by saying Miss A, power strip off. Miss A, power strip on. Miss A, power plug 3 off. Miss A, power plug 3 on. So I can do individual plugs. Now there's USB plugs, but they will only turn on and off all 4 at one time, or turn them on at one time. Miss A, Echo power plug USB off. Miss A, power plug USB on. Obviously, I've set it up so I can turn this on and off using my dot or my other Miss A. This is the microwave oven that I purchased just last week. It is a smart microwave. It's countertop. There were certain criteria that I used to purchase it. I'm not saying that this is the one that you should buy. It only fit my needs and my purposes. And what I want to show you is some of the functions that it can do using the Amazon device that I use for home automation. So let's take a look. This is our new Toshiba microwave oven, which is an Internet of Things capable microwave oven. And I want to show you a couple examples of that. Miss A, 30 seconds on the microwave.
30 seconds.
Miss A, add 10 seconds to the microwave. We can also have special settings for different foods. For instance, Miss A, microwave for 1 minute on power 2.
1 minute on power level 2.
Miss A, microwave 1 potato.
Starting potato.
Miss A, stop the microwave. Miss A, microwave potato.
How many do you want to cook?
1.
Starting potato.
Miss A, stop microwave. Miss A, defrost 1 pound.
Defrosting 1 pound.
Miss A, stop microwave. Miss A, microwave bacon.
How many do you want to cook?
2.
Okay, starting now.
Miss A. Pause microwave. Miss A. Resume microwave.
Resuming.
Miss A. Stop microwave. Miss A. Reheat cup of coffee.
What's the volume of coffee?
1 cup.
Reheating 1 cup of coffee.
Miss A. Stop microwave. Thank you for joining. I'm Huey Poplock. You'll notice that I had a bowl in there, and that in the bowl was some water, because you can't run a microwave with nothing in it. It's not good for it. And it was it's an experience. Of course, you can still push the buttons and on the control panel and do it manually if you want, but you can have Miss A do some of the things for you.
Oh, okay. I've got my credit card out. All right. Listen, thank you. Ray, are you getting ready?
Yes, sir.
I want to thank everyone over on our streaming service for coming. Thank you so much. We will see you again next week, same time, same place. And we are now, just give me a second to stop our live stream. And Ray, you should be good to go. Thanks.
All right. Everybody can hear me and see me? Not see me, but see my
Yep.
document.
Looks good, Ray. Looks good.
All right. So for me, one of the many signs that I'm getting older, there's a lot of signs, by the way, is when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame releases their annual list of inductees, and I'm not able to come up with one song title for most of the names. And that's pretty much what happened now, the case for the 36th annual induction ceremony. It's going to be held later on this year with the 2021 inductees. But there is good news. There are two names that stand out for me, two of my favorites, Tina Turner and Carole King. Now, both Tina and Carole have already been inducted into this prestigious institution, but not as individuals. Tina in 1991 as part of the duo Ike and Tina Turner, and Carole King a year earlier with her ex-husband Jerry Goffin as a songwriting team. But you want another coincidence with these two ladies? Both Tina and Carole are the subjects of successful biographical Broadway musicals. Today, I'm going to focus on Carole King, and next week, we'll look at Tina's career. So Carole King was born Carol without the E, Carol Joan Klein, February 9th, 1942. And she went to high school in Brooklyn with two boys named Neil, Diamond and Sedaka. Neil Sedaka co-wrote the song Oh Carol with Carole King in mind. And that became a top 10 hit in 1959. Goffin and Sedaka wrote an answer song, which Carole King recorded. That's called O'Neill, and you have to check it out on YouTube. I provided a link that'll show up in the newsletter, and I guarantee you there's going to be a chuckle or two. Now, King is the most successful female songwriter of the latter half of the 20th century, having written or co-written 118 pop hits on the Billboard Hot 100. Much of this songwriting activity took place in the 1960s, and it was only in the following decade that she was first recognized for her performance ability when she sang her own songs, accompanying herself on the piano. Carole King scored her breakthrough in 1971 with the album Tapestry. I bet most of you out there had this album at one time or another. It topped the US album charts for 15 weeks and remained there for more than 6 years. The album has sold over 25 million copies worldwide. So today's song comes from this LP, and it's my favorite Carole King song, You've Got a Friend. It was the Song of the Year in 1971 and was the very first time a woman won this award. James Taylor had a #1 hit with the same song in the same year, and today's clip has them singing a duet. Hope that came out okay.
It was perfect. Wow. One of my favorite songs.
Good, good.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You know, thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It is past top of the hour, and it is time for our question and answer segment. But those of you who have to leave, let you know, please watch Tech for Senior live this Thursday at 9 o'clock. We'll have Michael Daniels on, and Bob, Hewie, and I will be having coffee. So bring your coffee and come and have a chat with us for the hour. Excuse me. Now, then the following that, we will be doing our learning Chromebook. So please come if you have a new Chromebook, you want to learn more about it. We have an action-packed hour for you on all the features of your new Chromebook. That will be following the Tech for Senior live. And then of course we're back here in another week. Wow, life just keeps going on so quickly. So thank you for coming, everyone. I'm going to open this up now. And really, we would like to sort of focus on any questions related, probably stick to, because of course, Chris is here. And Chris, I'm going to start out because I want to ask you the first question. And the question I have for you is, you mentioned in your excellent video you showed was the transferring photos from on the Google Takeout to transfer them to OneDrive. And I thought this is cool. I actually haven't done that. When you transfer the pictures from Google Drive over to OneDrive, do they just go in normally into OneDrive, or have you actually done this? What format are they in OneDrive? Can you? I'm just not sure how they show up in OneDrive, which of course is Microsoft. Can you answer that?
Right. They do show up in OneDrive photos, and supposedly, that's why I say I kind of say that this is still in beta. I haven't gotten it to work so great yet, but that was a while ago, so you might try it again. Mm-hmm. The great part is that it maintains albums. So your Google Photo, any albums that you have in Google Photos become folders in Microsoft OneDrive.
Right. What about using it as a backup for Google Photos?
Absolutely. That would to back up your entire Google Photos account. Yeah. Now, there's no way I would want to do that. I do because I have 100,000 photos. I don't want to take up that storage in my OneDrive. But what I do is on my phone, I have the OneDrive app installed. So every picture I take on my phone gets uploaded to Google Photos and to OneDrive. Mm-hmm. Now, I only use it in Google Photos. I don't even look at it on OneDrive, but I know it's there in case something ever went wrong on my Google or I mistakenly deleted some photos. I have them on my OneDrive.
I see that Murray has a question.
Carl had his hand up. Carl had his hand up first.
Sorry, Carl. Carl was first. Okay, Carl, go ahead.
Okay, I had to unmute. Hey, wasn't a question, it was a thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Last week, my girlfriend had a problem with her remote control for Xfinity using Roku. And it was really very difficult for her because she uses a TV in the kitchen that used Roku and it stopped working. And I asked you, and I think it was Bob, who recommended using Zoom instead of like one of the other apps for us to communicate. And it worked out perfectly. Thank you. And the only problem I had was I could hear her, but she couldn't hear me on Zoom. But we had a telephone. So we had the video and we could communicate at least two-way in a sort of a, mixed fashion, but I got it working. And the thing that I wanted to say in doing that is that Roku is really a streaming device, and Xfinity by Comcast has a streaming feature. And you have to add that streaming app onto your Roku in like, Netflix or anything else. And that's the trick in making it work. But thank you, everybody.
I'm glad we going it right for you. That was great. Thank you so much. Great. Murray, do you have a Google Photos question?
Yes, I do. I was just going to ask, when I went a little bit fast and I'm not sure I got it right, but can you upload videos to your Google Photos and not count towards your limit? I was a bit surprised by that. That's what I thought you said, but I wasn't sure.
Absolutely. If you do it before June 1 and if you do it in high quality, then they do not count. I have several hour-long videos in my Google Photos library.
Wow.
That are zero charge.
Wow, I'm going to have to get work really fast. What does it do? How does it compress them, or what does it do to them? I mean, like, for example, I would have typically an MP4 with 8,000 DPS or something. I guess I'll just try it, see what it does.
Right. It limits you to 1080p, so if it's higher than 1080p, it will crunch.
So 1080p is fine.
Yeah. And other than that, it's just Google's magic for compression. I will say, and I love having my videos stored in my Google Photos library, but playback, Google Photos isn't best.
Oh, I would download them before I play them back. I found that playing them back on Google Photos doesn't work very well.
And YouTube is better for that, and it's free also. So
yeah, I ran into a problem with YouTube one time. I recorded our church service, and somebody claimed the copyright to the song "Jesus Loves Me," even though it's been in public domain for 50 years. So I got kicked out for a while until I got them to admit that no, it was not copyrighted by whoever said it was. Anyway, thank you very much. And thank you also for a wonderful presentation. I'm going to make sure I watch that recording again, because that was really good.
My pleasure. And did people notice that I put a link in the chat where you can watch the original and plus the slideshow, and plus I have a link to several articles. So on our Geeks on Tour website, under classes, I list every class we teach, like this one, for Tech for Seniors. So you just go to Geeks on Tour, click classes, find the Tech for Seniors May 17th class, and you'll see a link to all the materials.
Thank you. That was wonderful presentation.
Chris, to follow up on one of the things you mentioned in your video, of course, there are people that are going to leave Google Photos and go to Amazon Photos, which of course is free if you subscribe to Amazon Prime. What you didn't mention, what I think is important for everyone to know, is yes, it is free as long as you have Amazon Prime. Now, if you decide to quit Amazon Prime, then you must pay for the Google Photos that you have stored. And when I looked into that, it is very expensive. In fact, if you go and if you want to quit Prime and you want to keep your photos on Amazon in the cloud, the price is even more expensive than an Amazon Prime membership. So you are, think carefully about leaving Google Photos. You are really moving into Amazon Prime for the rest of your life. And as you know, it's, what is it, $140, $120, $140 now. It is going up each year. So you have to be very, very careful before you decide leaving Google Photos and switching to Prime, storing your pictures there, because at some time in the future, if you say, hey, I don't want to do Amazon Prime, you are really sort of up the creek without a paddle, right? Sue, what can we do for you? So go ahead.
I had a question. It has to do with Gmail. I had said it to Chris before, but she didn't quite understand what I meant, which is probably because I wasn't clear on it. But is there anything comparable to, say, the email that we get in Gmail, comparable to the photos?
I think, well, your follow-up in the chat says that you heard that Gmail is also charging now. Is there any way you can save emails to avoid charges? Number one, absolutely nothing is changing with Gmail. Gmail has always been part of the storage system that charges when you get over 15 gigabytes. The thing is that emails don't usually take up as much space as So absolutely nothing has changed in Gmail, and it's you can store an awful lot of emails. And if perchance you do go over your 15 gigabytes because of other things, the storage is shared by Gmail, Google Photos, and Google Drive. Google now has a tool that it will show you your biggest emails and let you delete them, the big emails with big attachments. So there's that.
What is the tool called?
Oh, it's under your Google One storage management. Yeah, so I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. Murray, did you have another question?
Yeah, it's not exactly about, it is about Google, but it's not quite, what it is, what I find is that, I have a lot of different computers, and I have my of course I have logged into Google on the browser and everyone, but I sometimes find that my calendar, I enter something in my calendar and it doesn't show up on one of the other computers. And I'm not exactly sure, I must have a setting wrong, but I don't know what it would be. I wonder if you can give me some advice on what I might have wrong there.
Yeah, that's a real common thing that we deal with in the tech support. And in almost all cases, it usually means that, and you're assuming you're using Chrome all across the board, using the same one. It usually means you haven't logged in. If you've logged, it means that you're just not synced and logged into your account.
Okay, but I'm logged in. I'm definitely logged in.
Make sure you're logged in with the right account, because if you
I am. Yeah. Oh yeah, I am.
I'm and also and make sure that you have the right calendar settings in your calendar, that you're sharing the calendars with under the share feature in the calendars, because you might have different calendars, and you have to make sure that they're shared commonly in the sharing feature of the calendars.
Yeah, you also want to make sure that the checkbox for that calendar in that account is checked. I found sometimes it'll show up on one calendar but not another because I have multiple accounts.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about just the same account logged in on all the different computers. So I'm logged in, same account on all the different computers, but on some of them, sometimes I don't see I make a change. For example, I made the change on this one on one computer, and it didn't come up on this computer. And I had to go back to the email to get the link.
Yeah, you might have to just refresh the page too.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Any other, now we have Chris here. Are there any other Google Photos? Look, we have the world's leading expert on Google Photos here. Chris is going to go away in 5 minutes here. And, so if you have any Google Photo you want to ask now, because this is the time. Earl, go ahead.
Yes, Chris, I'm unclear on what the Google is doing with the compression to go to high quality. Are they reducing the number of pixels in the photograph, or changing the compression? I assume it's JPEG. Are they doing both?
They're doing both. So, and this has always been the case since Google Photos first came out in 2015. High quality is defined by, number one, no more than 16 megapixels. I know of no smartphone that takes photos higher than 16 megapixels, so that doesn't affect me at all. If you take photos with a big fancy camera that takes 24, 32 megapixel, then yes, high quality means it cuts it down to 16 megapixels. Number two, regardless of the pixel size, it does its compression. It adds a Google Magic compression to the JPEG already compressed file.
When you would transfer that, say, to OneDrive, is that going to be compatible with other software to open those photos?
Yes, it's just a JPEG. It's just a JPEG. It's just smaller than the JPEG that came off your camera.
So are they, of course, there's many levels of JPEG compression from almost none to awful. And I'm wondering if they're changing just changing the compression level.
I don't know exactly the technology behind it. I do know that I have printed an 8x10 picture with it, and it looks just great. So it is, I cannot tell the visual difference between an original and the compressed. Huey.
I may have asked you this before, but is there a way to get my pictures from Flickr to Google Photos easily?
Good question. I think Flickr did just recently, or was it the other way around? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. You know, I mean, if there is not a Flickr utility to do that, then you can always download to your computer and upload to Google Photos. There's also a couple of third-party, and let me see. In the book, I mention a couple of third-party. One is called, I don't know where I have it.
Okay, I've got the book. I'll do some searching in it.
Yeah, there, page 51. Page 51 in the book mentions a facility called MultCloud and another one called PickBackman that claim to be able to transfer from cloud to cloud, all sorts of different clouds.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? You haven't stumped Chris yet. Does there nobody have a really, really tough question for Chris?
Hey, tune in on our YouTube session at 3:00 Eastern time, which is an Ask Chris Anything, and you will see me be stumped. I get bombarded with questions there. Meanwhile, if there's no other questions, y'all want to see a quick preview that most people have not seen?
Sure,
absolutely.
This is coming to everybody's phones, but I just got mine. It's nothing special, but just to let you know. So I'm going to share my screen, and I just want to share a screen once. This is my iPhone, but this particular feature is supposed to be coming to both iPhone and Android. If I go to my Google Photos, and I'll bet you if any of you look at your Google Photos, you only have 3 buttons at the bottom. And you have a little chat icon for sharing in the upper left. So that's all. That is changing. They have put the sharing back to a little 2 heads icon, which I like. And they have added the shopping, the photo store, to the upper left. And that's just coming out right now.
That'll be an automatic upgrade?
Yeah, it happened to me without updating or anything. I just turned my, I just picked my phone up again and I had the different screen.
So what's in that shopping? What's in that upper left-hand corner?
The same thing that was in utilities and print store.
Oh, okay.
And I love these, by the way. I love the books that Google makes me and the canvas prints that Google makes me. They're all over the house.
And where do they, for example, if you're in Canada, where do they come from and what's the deal on those?
Maria, the store works in Canada. I order books all the time. I'm not sure where they're probably printed in Vancouver, but they're sent right to your home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're excellent.
Yeah.
I also have some of my sunsets.
They work great for presents. If you have for Christmas presents and stuff like that, they work great for that because not that expensive.
I just tried a comparison. I ordered a canvas print from Amazon Photos and from Google Photos on the same day, the same print, and it got there faster, cheaper, and it was a bigger print from Google than from Amazon.
And everybody knows that the Costco photo printing center is now all shut down across Canada and the United States. So Costco no longer does this. So really, I mean, that's really the best way to do it now, I would think.
Marcia has her hand up.
Marcia, go ahead.
Chris, how can you quickly find your places and people folders in Google Photos? They used to be so easy to find, and now I go through a little bit more to find them.
They do keep moving things around, don't they? They supposedly are trying to make it easier, but those of us who get used to a certain way, it's not. It's different on the computer than on the
I'm
phone.
on an Android.
On Android, okay. I will show that.
Thank you.
So share screen again. And so here is my Android, and it's under search. So they figure you're looking for something, you're looking for people, you're looking for places. So it's under search, and people is the first row, places is the second row, and they go over. Or if you tap on view all, you'll see all your people.
That's easy enough.
Back up, and yeah, places is the second row. And then one of my very favorite features, the first tile under places is your map. You tap there and you get an interactive map that you can, if all you know about a photo is you remember where you took it, you can find the place where you took it and see the photos at the bottom.
Thank you so much. I'm calling from Hawaii this morning.
Oh,
thank you.
I don't have any pictures in Hawaii. I have to go there.
You were there.
Yeah. I have, what's this? Fiji, I think I have pictures. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I put a link in the chat to the Ask Chris Anything Q&A for this afternoon.
Excellent.
If anybody's interested.
Thanks so much. All right. Do we have any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to, we're almost at 1/2 the hour.
Is Chris, is that a weekly session every week?
Monthly.
Thank you.
Our Ask Chris Anything is monthly. And I see who is this instructor asks, can you upload the entire photo library from my PC to Google Photos and have each folder, subfolder saved in albums the same name? No. Sorry. If you upload the entire library using the backup and sync, it sucks. It's just like a vacuum cleaner. It sucks up all the photos out of the folders, but does not maintain any folder structure in the cloud.
Chris, you have an update in your book coming out. Can you give us advice on that? If we wanted to buy your book, would we wait now or wait, or will the update be coming out? What would be your advice?
You might want to, yes. If you bought from Amazon today, you would get my Learn Google Photos 2020, but with just 4 pages in the beginning that is a 2021 preface. So it does tell you what is changing, but I will make sure that after June 1 at Amazon, the new book, and it's almost done, has all those changes built into the book.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, thank you so much for coming, Chris. I'm really, it's been such a delight. It's always fun having you on the show. That's great.
You guys do a great job. I think this show, I've told people to come here and told them that it's like a variety show.
Well, it is variety. It is variety.
With technology. And yeah, you do a great job.
Variety.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all our guests today. And I want to thank everyone for coming. It's another great show. It will be this afternoon around 4 p.m. It will be uploaded on our channel. Thanks so much for coming. We will see everybody in about a week's time, exactly a week. Don't forget, this week is a busy week for us. We have of course, our Tech for Senior Live on Thursday morning, followed by our Learning Chromebooks. If you have registered with Learning Chromebooks, don't do anything. You'll get an email today from Hewie, and it will give you the links and everything like that. If you have not, then please register. The registration can be on our website, or you can register to attend the newsletter as well. So thank you for coming. We will see everybody in a week.
Bye, everybody.
And we will see you Thursday. Bye-bye now.
Bye, everybody.